Nana Acquia. Let's return to the breaking news. Elon Musk said this on social media on X. The Reform Party needs a new leader. Farage doesn't have what it takes. Then Nigel Farage responded saying, well, this is a surprise. Elon is a remarkable individual, but on this, I'm afraid I disagree. My view remains that Tommy Robinson is not right for reform, and I never sell out my principles. Then Elon now appears to support Reform MP Rupert Lowe, remarking that it makes a lot of sense for him to become the party's leader. Well, joining me now is father of Elon Musk, Errol Musk. Errol, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon.
Thank you.
So, Errol, it's been a very busy day on social media, people tweeting away to each other. I mean, do you approve of what your son Elon is saying about Nigel Farage? Should Nigel Farage step down as the Reform UK leader?
Well, you know, on Friday the 3rd, I spoke on your channel, and as it happened, I said that, in my opinion, this was before these tweets, in my opinion, Farage is not strong enough to be the leader of the UK. You know, I can see that. It's quite clear to me. He speaks sense, but he doesn't have the strength for that, in my opinion. And subsequently now we've had this tweet from Elon, and I haven't spoken to Elon, but I agree. I completely agree with him. In fact, to any student of history, although it may sound terribly shocking to your viewers, to any student of history, the future Prime Minister of England is Tommy Robinson.
Do you think?
I know that's very hard for you to comprehend, but you have to read some history. You know, the vast majority of leaders in many countries were jailed on the same basis that Robinson was jailed. And so the future is for Tommy Robinson. And now we will see, unless they can get to him first and, you know, sort of take him out or whatever it is. But no, the future is for Tommy Robinson. The current government is a joke. You know, it's just an absolute joke. I don't know how they even, I don't know how there's a shame to keep sitting there, to tell you the honest truth.
But, you know, you say that, but, you know, Tommy Robinson's got a list of criminal convictions as long as your arm, and he has been a political figure that in this country has been somewhat divisive. And, you know, to be somebody who leads this country, I think you'd have to have a bit more of a moderate stance on things, or you don't think so? You know, and I don't think, you know, whether you agree with him or not, I just think he can be very polarising, and I don't know whether that would work.
Yes. No, look, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, to the ordinary mind and to the mind that seeks, you know, a certain sort of peace of mind and everything, yes, you're quite right. However, history tells us differently. History tells us quite clearly that the future is for people like Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson has had the guts to stick his neck out. Tommy Robinson has had the guts to say what he thinks. Tommy Robinson has probably got more people who agree with him than anyone else in England. They're just frightened to say so. Now, this is just something from the past. You can read it. You know, there are so many examples, not only in the rest of the world, but in Europe, of people who are jailed on flimsy pretexts like Tommy Robinson to try and get him out of the way. And honestly, as hard it may be for somewhat high-class or class-type society, because Tommy's like a sort of ordinary sort of person, which is nice, I think. But he's the future for England. He's the future Prime Minister.
You think? Well, OK, so I hear what you're saying. I know there are a lot of people who probably would be frightened to support him because, obviously, when you're a polarising figure, then you can draw... You know, what happens in the end is that people just think, oh, well, I better back off you because otherwise it will end up on me. Then no one's going to vote or go with me. Nigel Farage is distancing himself from Tommy Robinson, and probably wisely and sensibly. But if it's not Nigel Farage and if it's not Tommy Robinson, because obviously I don't think Tommy would lead Reform UK, who do you think, instead of Nigel Farage,
well, you know,
would you suggest?
Yes. Look, it's possible for someone of strength to step forward and, you know, pave the way for, in due course, again, probably Tommy Robinson, so in the interim. But I would say that, I would say it's not easy to pick anyone out. I have seen that Lowe chap, he seems stronger. I'm not sure, but whoever it's going to be has to step forward, and you'll know that person when they step forward. It's just the way it works. That's how it works. Unfortunately, as you know, it's easier to predict the weather than it is to predict politics. But that is what history teaches us. Yeah. History teaches us that it is people like Tommy Robinson that will actually lead the country in due course out of the circumstances that it's got.
But your son seems to think that Rupert Lowe, like you said, would potentially be someone who could step into the fray instead of Nigel. Why Rupert?
But definitely not Nigel Farage.
Why not? What is it about Rupert Lowe that you think brings something additional to the table that people will get behind?
It's a sort of feeling a man gets, when you see someone talk and you see how they behave. It's difficult to put it into, sort of words, but you get the feel of what it's about. It's what makes a film star. What makes a top politician. It's very difficult to say. But with Farage, he talks sense. He does definitely talk sense. But his actions and his behaviour to another man, let's say, do not, to me at any rate, do not reflect the what is needed for real leadership. He has been a good person. I can easily see him as a good wingman. I can easily see him as a minister of the government. Oh, yes, easily. But I do not see him as the leader of such a government. Someone who's prepared to literally be crucified for their beliefs. That's what you need, not someone who's waiting for his next fag.
Well, but you could say that Nigel Farage has been that. I mean, he stepped out when it was for Brexit. Even though he was vilified for it, he stepped down and he's done what is needed to get to where he needs to be. Because he's done what's needed, hasn't he? I mean, Nigel's done what is needed.
Let's give him a chance. This is England we're talking about, after all, the country that gives people a second chance. So let's give Nigel a second chance. Let's see what he can come up with now. He has to come up with the goods. He can't turn his back on these rapes. He can't turn his back on Tommy Robinson. He can't do that. That's out of the question. What does he think he's doing? He's just siding with Starmer. No. He has to get on his hind legs and start doing something. No.
But he's
the time
been
for sort of, lazy, easygoing leadership, that's out. Doesn't work anymore. We've seen that in America.
But he has been consistent in his stance on Tommy Robinson, so he's not suddenly going, 1 minute he thinks that and 1 minute he thinks something else. And that is, again, something that he's not flip-flopping, he's staying with what he thinks. But what do you think, though, in terms of your son Elon getting involved in British politics? Why do you think that he seemed so active and getting so involved in it? A lot of people...
Elon, my son?
Yeah. Why is he getting so involved?
In reality, in life, once you get your bread and butter existence behind you, in other words, once you get to a point where you don't have to go to work every day and fix electrical fittings or plumbing or whatever it is you do, and you get to the point where you're actually free to think, then you get to the part of life that is the most important part of life. And as I've always described it, in fact, my history professor told me, politics is 50% of life. And if you don't, you have to get into it if you can finally afford to do so. It takes time because most people are stuck in their jobs. They can't do it. But if they were free, they would express themselves politically much more because politics is 50% of everything. Now we have Elon, who's in a position finally after so many years to actually express himself politically, which he hasn't been able to do for all his life because he's been so busy trying to basically, you might say, earn a living, believe it or not. So once you can earn a living and once you're free of that, you either join something of political nature and become part of it. It's just the way it happens. That is life. That is the way it works. And so I'm very happy that he's doing that. And it's very good, very, very good.
Well, last time we spoke, we were talking about the 100 million that was being touted that Elon might donate to Reform UK. Do you think Elon will still consider donating something to the party?
Oh, yes, absolutely. If Elon sees for the time being, he's a private citizen. You do realise he's a private citizen for the time being. So, after the 20th of this month, of course, assuming he goes into the cabinet there in the United States, he's no longer a private citizen. So anything he does would have to be ratified by by the President of the United States. So a different scenario will be in place. But if it's a question of, from his personal funds and he gets permission to do so, he can loan, Reform or whoever that looks like they're able to do things properly and get things going. There's no reason why he can't do that. It's done all over the world. And if it's a question of not being a donation, if it's a question of taking a loan, I can imagine, I remember in my own case, I've had to take loans in my life to do things. So it's, the people who loaned me the money were only concerned about getting their money back. That's all. No, I think he would likely have no problem if it's not against the rules or something, against the law, helping whoever comes forward. And it might be Farage. Maybe he gets it together. Let's see what he can do. Let's give him what England always does, give you a second chance.
Yeah, Britain. I know what you mean. But so where you are looking over at the United Kingdom and our political structure and what's happening in this country, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, as all the people like myself, we all, for a start, we all speak English, and we are all children of England. All the Commonwealth countries became sort of children of England, and everything we did, was based on what happened in England. We've always looked at England as the place that you take an example from. I remember as a young engineer, I'd be working by the big office that I worked in at that time, and they tell us the man from England is here, and we'd all sort of like be trying to see him, because he always had a pinstripe suit on and a flower in his lapel and all that sort of thing, and we'd all trying to see him just to see, because he's the man from England. And so England has always been our beacon for the people. And I would even include most or a large portion of the people of the United States see it exactly the same way. We expect an example from England that blows us out of the water, not that we have to look at England and say, oh, my word, we have to get back on the boats and get back there and see what we can do, because we've all benefited so much from England in these countries, roads, education systems, everything that the world never had. England came along and just plonked it on everybody. I mean, you just can't deny that. And so when we see England in trouble, it breaks our heart. I mean, it's a heartbreaking situation.
Yeah.
It's really not good. I love the way England has introduced or accepted people from all over the world to come and stay there, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful. But that doesn't mean that England must go down the drain. England is England. After all, we could go back thousands of years and some bloke would be saying the same thing I'm saying, if you know what I mean.
Exactly. I do agree with you, and I find it shocking that people dare to even ask for reparations, given the positive things that have been brought around the world. But do you think the Reform UK will win the next general election? Do you think they'll win?
Well, I do. I don't really have a good idea of them, but I do know that from what I've read, that if an election were held now, Labour would lose 200 seats. So that's what I think should happen. Elon has called for Parliament there to be dissolved because your country is not operating on a mandate. It's making its own mandate. It's deciding its own way, and it's ignoring the people. I mean, that's completely obvious. And so, what's needed here is for the present government, because there's no confidence in them, they should have the guts to, resign. They should hold a new election. If they are re-elected, well, then we know. But the fact is, I think if you had another election now, they would lose 200 seats.
Yeah, I don't think they would win. And presumably you're very proud of your son. I asked you that last time.
Yes.
Of course you are.
Yes.
Errol Musk, really good to talk to you. Thank you for taking the time out to talk to me.
Oh, so Nana, it's such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. You take care.